you hear that music, so you know what time it is, you know that you're going to hear something good. And today, I promise you, it's not only good, it's great. I'm thrilled to share the screen with my friend, entrepreneur, fashionista, coolest shit lady on the planet, Sheryl Clark. It is your chance to tell us something good.
I'm so excited to be here because you and I have been playing tag, and I wanted to wait until I had some really good things to share with you because it's been a journey since March. And I feel like we're at a point right now where I can really talk about some of the changing things that are happening in the retail landscape that are good, because it's not all doom and gloom out there. And there's some amazing opportunities for brands that have vision, brands that are focused on their customer, and brands who are maniacally looking at every single day how they can drive business to win. And I think that's the most exciting thing. So
I agree. So for the sake of my audience who may have missed the first time you were a guest on Confessions, tell everybody who you are, share a little bit about your journey. I'll direct them to hear the whole journey, on the previous one, because your story is as cool as it gets. But who are you? What are you doing? And then we can jump into some current.
I'm Sheryl Clark. I'm the president of Boston Proper. So if you haven't heard of Boston Proper, basically Boston Proper is a brand for 40 plus women to find age, trend, and fit appropriate clothing curated for every need in their life. Literally everything they do, whether they're going on vacation, they're sitting around the pool, casual weekends, date nights, we've got it. And the best part about Boston Proper is as you age in life, we feel women should be celebrating. I mean, I'm better at 50 plus than I've ever been in my whole life. Why? Because I'm wiser. I've got more experience. I've got more money. Like I got it all. So now when you hit 50, you should be celebrating. It should be like life is finally good, right? Kids are out of the house. Life is good. We curate clothing for this gal and we make it really easy for her. We're web only. We've got great styling points. You can trust that if you bought it from Boston Proper, you can go anywhere and feel very confident. And what we also understand is confidence makes women feel sexy, right? There's like a whole thing going on with everything from last year to this year, and sexy is not bad when sexy is about confidence.
And when sexy is appropriate, which that's one of the things I think your brand has done better than most, is it's like, here's something that's been curated and appropriate and done. And so it's sort of been pre-blessed. I think when people try and venture out, that's where the game gets a little funky. So you've done it, you've proved it, you wear it yourself.
I do, every day.
You're the top model on this stuff, which I love. So it's like, hey guys, I'm doing it. So, we obviously went through this time back in March where the landscape changed for everybody. This was the first time, obviously, that everybody was at the starting line. Anything we counted on before was not real. We had to reinvent, rethink, whatever. So I'm totally curious. You were already living online, but even that had to change. So I know you have some pretty definitive points on how it's changed and what you've done to change it. So rock and roll, lady.
Well, being in the business, you would never think we could do this remotely, right? I mean, we touch clothes all day. We're feeling clothes. We're looking, there's so much about what we do. You're in the light box looking at colors. You're approving trim. So much is tactile and in the moment. So to turn that into a virtual process was really the biggest thing we had to figure out how to do right away. And the good news was there was a group of us that just came to the office every day, and the office was huge, so we could socially distance and do our thing. And at that point in time, I literally did everything from open mailboxes, right? Hang clothes. I tried on stuff when we needed somebody to be a fit model. I approved lab dips. I mean, we just had to jump in and do every job to get it done, and then make sure we were communicating back to the people who weren't in the office so that everybody was on the same wavelength. And the ability to actually make that transition was pretty huge for a company that's in the apparel business. But we figured it out, and it's allowing us now to have some of our moms who have to stay home right now because of what's going on with schools to be at home and be secure in their job, knowing that we're covering each other's backs, we're working together, we're communicating, we're making things happen.
The dialogue that you use just in, being a friend of yours and being around you, I love vocabulary, but you use word like radical and maniacal and, so talk to me about being at the top, I mean, all of us were scared a little bit. I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, like, oh shit, like now what? And so a lot of your organization looked to you for leadership, and the way you designed it and the way you shared it with me and when we had dinner and, over the course of time is using those words: radical prioritization, maniacal attention to detail. So walk me through the new process, because the way you describe it and what you've done, I think really applies to everybody.
Yeah. Well, we started out with a maniacal review of revenue, margin, and cash, right? We knew cash was going to be a challenge during this time period. So we pulled the horizon up and said, we need to make decisions 30 days out, 30 days out, 30 days out. We have to prioritize, and we have to focus every day on driving revenue. So we started this Monday meeting, and mine basically starts right after this, where we look at what happened over the weekend, what happened last week, what do we have to do this week, and how are we going to drive sales every single day. Not Monday, not for the week, but every single day. And then we come together as a huddle afterwards to say, okay, how do we now execute and communicate? Because you can have all the great conversations you want, as a cross-functional team on a conversation, but if you're not then prioritizing and communicating so that the teams then can execute, you're nowhere. And execution, we know, is what makes the winners win, is knowing how to execute and execute thoroughly.
So, I love that you talk about 30 days out and hyper focus, because clearly my business went through the same thing, and every other CEO or leader had to drill down to what I call win, which is what's important now. You couldn't plan 90 days out because no one knew what 90 days out would look like.
Yeah.
So you could be waiting for that, and then the game was over. But that's easier said than done. And then once you do it, do you see things going back, or why wouldn't we focus on every 30 days? Like even in the investing I do, people used to talk about a 5-year plan. I don't want to see your 5-year plan. I want to see 90 days and maybe a year, So
yeah,
do you think we go back?
I think that there's benefit in having a long range plan. Actually 5 is probably too long. A 3-year plan, just so you know, right, where the avenues are going, right? Because if you have to build a new business, or if you have to do some things, some of that you have to back up and understand what it is. But the day to day, I think what happened with COVID is you went to day to day because no one knew what the hell was going to happen 90 days from now. And so when we focused on day to day, we found that we were so much better as a team executing and working together and driving the day-to-day than we were if we didn't have it. Because when we didn't have it, we were focusing way far out, and we weren't I love that one of my Vistage members says to me, pull the horizon in. You need to pull the horizon in, and that's how you make decisions. And so we taught that to our teams. And I think one of the interesting things is, the other thing that happens with COVID is it gets a little depressing, right? Especially for people who love to travel, love to go out to eat, love to sit at bars and chat with people and make friends.
You mean like you?
Like us. Well, when all that stops, right, then you've got to also be worried about mental health, physical health, right? All of that matters as well. And what we noticed was in our Monday leadership team meeting, everyone was going through and talking about their priorities for the week, but it was a little depressing. So guess what we did? Each person had to end it with, tell me something good.
Yeah.
Every single time. So every time they've got to tell us something good, because there's so many good things happening out there. Whether it's little things or big things, there's good things happening, and we have to celebrate the wins. Otherwise, it gets it just gets too crazy. And I'm a lemonade girl, right? I make lemonade all the time. I want to be surrounded by people who are lemonade people.
I was telling some friends this weekend that, you were going to be coming on the show. And I go, if there's one person I know who makes me look like I'm standing still, it's you. I mean, your energy is just bursting. So, I love that you're spending the time with us. I want to drill down one more level about some of the things you wrote to me. You talked about traffic conversion, email productivity, exit surveys, measurable consumer engagement, which to me is so key to success, because a lot of us were going along the path of, well, this is what I think and this is what I know from all of my years. We don't know shit until you speak to the customer.
I know. So, this is how I kind of characterize it. Focused, nimble, agile. Those are 3 words we had to have. in one day at a time. So what we started doing was understanding from basically real-time digital analytics what was happening with our customer. When she was shopping, what was the traffic? What type of engagement did we have? If we were losing her, where were we losing her? Were we losing her on the product detail page? Were we losing her at checkout? And all of those things can actually tell you things about your customer or challenges she had on your website, buying things. The other thing we also did is we did a quick exit survey just so that we can understand, and we asked questions about price, about her shopping experience, if we had the clothes she liked, if she was searching for something we didn't have, just so we could gain any insight, because our feeling was we had all this stuff. We just had to put the most important things in front of her on a day-to-day basis to make sure she was reacting. And so if you look at these analytics every day, in a digital company, you can do so much so fast to impact your business. Where, my history is at the Gap, right? I was at the Gap for 16 years and Bloomingdale's for 6 years before that. You are just so slow there, right? Because you're waiting for reports to come in on a weekly basis. You're not getting real-time feedback. I live in real-time world right now. Every hour I get a sales report to tell me what we're doing, what business is happening. I know when I've got an SMS going out or an email, and then I go and watch in that hour. Did I get the sales lift that I thought I was going to get? If I didn't, we huddle. Huddling is you're a big huddler. We huddle, we get the team together, we huddle. Okay, what do we need to go look at? Okay, go. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Those simple basics that I used, my career 30 or 40 years ago work all the time. People tend to get away from them, and having rich data at our fingertips takes the guesswork out of it. You can be much more direct, much more efficient. My question to you is, ultimately, with people not going to their offices, working in this environment, how did you pivot to what was important to a woman doing work in front of this environment, or maybe not working at all, staying at home, because obviously you're dressed, you look great like you always look. How do you incent women to say, because I heard it right from the get-go, people were saying, hey, what's appropriate to wear in a Zoom meeting? And I'm sure that was a question you heard right from the beginning as well.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is, Boston Proper in the months of March, April, May is really we are a destination for people who are going on vacation. We have an amazing collection of travel stuff, sexy, great dresses, things you want to go on if you're going on a cruise, if you're going, out of country, whatever it is. Okay, so now no one's going anywhere, right? And I got my catalog, I got my product bought, like I've got it. So we had to pivot. We had to get together and say, okay, we've got to pivot, right? And all of a sudden we started to see, as we were coming out of this, that Zoom and social meetings on the laptop, these kind of meetings were happening. So all of a sudden we pivoted the message to, you may not be at the wedding, you may not be at the graduation, the baby shower, but you know what? Your family and friends need pictures, and you need to dress up for those pictures. So we've got the right clothes for you, right? That was an immediate, we were like, we've got to pivot this message. So you may not be putting on your bathing suit now, but this is the best bathing suit in the world, and you better have it, because once this stops, you're going to want to put this on. So this pivoting of our message was literally probably the single most important thing we did, both online and in social media, to talk to her, because it had to be relevant. To me, if you were not relevant, and you're not relevant now in her life, this is when she basically edits down the people, the brands, everything in her life, and says, okay, these are the ones that are staying. Friends, companies you shop from.
Oh, I love it. I love it, because, it seems like it was longer than 8 months ago, but, 7 or 8 months ago, every single transaction that I ever did in the digital universe, I got a note from the CEO. We care about you. And it was bullshit. It was, it actually backfired, because they were automated letters that went out. They weren't really listening. They just thought that was the way to cover their tracks. You talk about less is more. I didn't need to get that message from them. They didn't have to do that. They needed to actually address what was going on, whether it's a financial company, a clothing company, a car company, and the good ones did, which is so fascinating. So what are your, before I talk about new business opportunities, because you are the queen, some of the things I've seen you do, I want you to share with the audience, but for you personally, what is the biggest place you've grown? Where were you challenged, and what leaps have you taken?
I've worked so hard my whole life, right? Work has probably been one of the single biggest focus in my life. And when COVID happened and the kind of pull back and understand like work is super important. It's not the only thing. And I think that for me was also just a pause of how important my family is, making sure we're spending time. Like I always thought I was doing those things, but when you're locked in a house together and you're spending days, yeah, I mean, I went to work because I had to, but I was in my office and then I'd go home and we'd be together. But I think it changes things, right? Like you've got to work harder, and you've got to understand that your family and honestly, your health, more importantly than anything, is super important. And so I've always been health, we work out, we exercise, we kind of do our thing, but to me, it rose to the forefront. You've got to make sure you're taking care of yourself and your family, and the work will be there.
I'm really glad you said that, because I think it is a natural reset for people to look at their priorities. And when you said less is more, when you sent me some of the things you wanted to talk about, that was like such a bullseye for me, because even after I started my new career as a speaker and I was on a plane twice a week. It was like, that's not a lifestyle that I ever dreamed of, but I wasn't really thinking. I was just, oh my God, more, eat at the buffet. Less is more in lifestyle, less is more in everything. So as usual, you nail it. I want you to share some of the innovation and new business, new stuff, new opportunities. Everybody's wearing masks, or at least they should be. You've taken it to the max.
I've got my mask, but my favorite part of my mask is my chain, because I'm always running around, right? So now it's like around my neck. So I don't have to, if I'm in my office and then I have to run to the copy machine or I have to run to a meeting, I was halfway down the hall and I was like, oh shit, I've got my mask. I got to run back and get my mask. Now, Boston Proper, we got the chains, we've got the masks. And if you can see on my little credenza back there, I probably have like 30 masks. I match them every day to my outfit. I've got a bunch of them, and I make it fun. You know what? If we've got to do it, and we should be doing it for our own health and the health of others, why not make it fun? So we started immediately. We started making masks immediately, and it turned out to be a really big business for us. So we continue to make them. We're adding glitter and shine, and we've got lots of fun things going on. But I think the other interesting thing around this, forcing yourself to look at your business and what opportunities, what other categories can you get into? I mean, for us, we had a very small kind of athleisure business. And what we were seeing is, obviously during COVID, she was basically coming to us for this type of clothing a lot more. So we pivoted. We pivoted out of work clothes. We upped the ante on this kind of what we call weekend relaxed athleisure, but we did it in a way that was Boston Proper, right? So when you jump on a trend to just be in the trend, it never works. When you do it your own way with your brand stamp, it works. And so we showed her Zoom tops. I mean, we've got Zoom tops on our website. They're amazing. You can wear your sweatpants with them. You can wear your pajama bottoms, but we've got amazing Zoom tops that have a little jewels. You look pretty on the camera. You make it happen.
That is fascinating. So they're actually called Zoom tops?
Well, we call them internally. Where are our Zoom tops? Let's put the top 5 Zoom tops up this week. Let's make sure she understands. One's a button down. One might be a knit t-shirt. How does she wear them? So yeah, we internally call them Zoom tops.
That is absolutely fascinating. I mean, and that is clearly adapting to need and what people are asking for, as opposed to, keeping your roadmap the way it is. So we've got a minute or two left in our final time, because I know you're super jammed and you're ready to break off to your meeting. How do people, find you, find Boston Proper? What's your message to them about what's coming next, holiday into January, that kind of thing?
So you guys can find me anywhere. I'm all over. I think that my most favorite thing is my Instagram account, Sheryl at Boston Proper. It's fun. It's very, it's just me. So if you like me, then you'll like that, because it's fun and it's great quotes. And I just share shit that happens to me, right? I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I work. I do all the same stuff everyone does. I just have an opportunity to kind of share it with everybody and make sure that people are happy, because life is too short and we need to be, to me, the biggest thing about our company is we're women designing for women. We are women. We are all pretty much 40 plus. We live it. We know it. We're there. We're there to help you celebrate this era of your life and not think it's something bad, but understand it's probably the best opportunity to have some fun again.
I'm super proud to know you. I'm super proud of the work that you're doing, stepping out as a leader. And this is all about being human. You live it, like you said. I love the fashion show. I'm enamored by pushing the envelope and looking at stuff. The sequined mask that I saw is just spectacular.
I know.
So if you need to dress up, man, that is the way to do it. So I'm grateful for our friendship. I'm grateful for all of the things you do for women. And that is something good.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Bye.